Hello everybody. Today we're going to learn how to build a snowman. I had so much fun with this little project. I've been thinking about it since last year when it was in January and we got a big snow, and everywhere I drove kids were making snowmen, and I thought we need a snowman quilt. So this is the snowman quilt, which Val will get to it and you'll get to see it up really close later. But I kept it really simple, and instead of trying to make a landscape behind the snowman or something, found this fabric and I just thought it was precious. It just seemed to work. So in our kit, you'll get a piece of this fabric so that you can make a snowman. And when I made this one out of some fabrics that Jackie put together for me, and I have enough to make a second one. So that's what we're going to do today. And you'll see this is my pattern that I have put together, and you will get it on a nice piece of paper. But this is how I work through projects. You know, here's all my patterns. So I'll put that aside, and we're going to get to the basic parts now. And I need to talk to you a little bit about paper-backed adhesive. And you think, well, just look like a piece of white paper to me. But this is paper, and this side's rough because it has glue on it. And the one you hear about the most is called Wonder Under, and that's what this particular one is. And I have fused this to the back of all of these fabrics before I start. So now they're kind of like paper because they still have their paper on. This one would really show because it's not white. And you can kind of see the design through the paper back there. But I go ahead and get those fused on. And whenever I'm using fusible, I use an applique pressing sheet. And this is a Teflon sort of material. And I've had this one forever. And a lot of times I need something on the bottom, and then I put this on the top. And the reason you do it is that when you're putting your iron on these, you're melting that fusible, that glue, and sometimes it oozes out on the edges. And so you don't want it oozing out on your ironing board. So you do it on your pressing sheet. And then you can just use one of those green little scrubby things that you use to, clean dishes on here, and it'll take it right off. Like there's a little bit right there. My fingernail takes it off. So this I really recommend. And I'm not going to show you how to use it. I will just talk a little bit about it. But when I put it on the back of the fabric, I follow the manufacturer's instruction on fusing. And you don't use steam. You just use a dry iron. And what I do is put the iron on and I hold it and I count to 3 or 4 really slowly. Then I move it over, do some more. And it's a slow process. And then at that point, this feels really warm. Don't try to peel the paper off when it's warm because it doesn't want to come off. Now I'm going to take a little piece here and just show you how I like to peel the paper off. So it's a little scrap, and I take a pin and run the pin across. And what it does, it breaks up the paper a little bit. Then that way you aren't trying to grab it on an edge. So now this paper comes right off. But to me, that's the wonderful thing, is just using that little pin. So, I just slice through it, and then you can fold it open, and one of the edges will come up. So there you go. That'll probably be the best thing you learned today. Okay, so let's go to this snowman. And my thought was to do a crazy patch sort of idea. And you can approach that a couple different ways. On the body of this one, before the little rocks were on for his buttons there. This was a piece of white that I cut and put near the middle, and I like to put at least 5 sides on it. And so I've put that on my background. And this background fabric that I'm going to be fusing to is this shape. And I have put fusible on the back of it also, because the snowman then gets fused to the background fabric. So let's go ahead and make this. I cut one little piece just so I would be organized and put it like that. Then I say, okay, what can I put next? Now, if I put something white, that might be nice. So I'm just going to barely overlap it. And then see this line right here? I'm just going to cut on that line, kind of. It's not easy doing it when you're standing and it's kind of upside down. And I can see through here, and I'm just letting it be a little bit further. So now, don't ever throw this away, you might need them. So I've got that part. I'm gonna clean up this edge though, because I had a little kink there at the end. So that will fit there. Then this fabric is from Tim Holtz. He does really funky kind of nostalgic fabrics, and I love the music on it. And I think it'd be fun to have a piece of it, but I don't want it to come clear up next to that. It isn't as pretty. It's prettier next to the white. So I know that's going to go there. So I need something for here. And I debated about this black and white when we were putting the kits together. But you know, when you're making a real snowman, a lot of times you roll some rocks into the snow. So that's what we're going to do, is just, I'm going to trim this off. I do like to use my old little rotary cutter sometimes when I am working on craft type projects. So I'm going to make a piece that can go, oh, I should probably line that up with that. Okay, so I'm going to come around here. And then I'm going to cut up at an angle just to be cutesy here. And that can go there. Now I have to fit something in here. So, oh, there's my scissors. Do you ever lose your scissors like that? Where are they? I just know they were just here. And I'm just going to clean up this edge. I love my Kai scissors. These, and I don't ruin them cutting on paper. I don't cut very often on paper, but I don't ruin them. So I've got enough down there that I can show you the next step of peeling the paper off and ironing these down. So I'm going to move them over here. Pick it up gently. Make sure my iron is warming up there. So, get my pin here and get the paper off. And you know, I save these little papers because sometimes I'm trying to figure out a little spot to put something. And so I will save those back papers and do this. And then I know it'll fit in there because I have that little jog. I was really proud of myself for figuring that out when I was making these. Okay, that one is ready to go.
It's going the wrong way.
Well, I'm just going to get these 2 pieces done and show you then what I do for pressing. That one's, what?
Your music's going the wrong way. Your curve should be on the outside edge.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a good thing I have the videographer here to correct me that I need the curve on the outer edge. You know, this is, Val and I have learned a lot from each other doing these, and I now once in a while video her doing a project, but we have a lot of fun with it. Now, I know the rounded edge goes out, so let's place that first, place a white one on top. I know this looks boring, but it may be helpful to you later on. Okay, so this one is going to go there, but I'm going to put it under, just slightly underneath. And I don't care that this overlaps a little bit. So at this point, I'm going to I laid my applique press cloth on top of that. My cord is only so long, that's why I'm holding this weird. Okay. And it's hot at this point, and I have, you know, I have not trimmed these edges, so obviously I've left some fusible on my pressing cloth. So now I'm just going to show you how to assemble this, and well, first of all, I'll trim the rest of my snowman head here. Go ahead and get its fusible off too. And I'm going to need to decide, that doesn't look good there. I have to decide because the eyes are going to go up here. We can look at this one and see. So the eyes will go up here. I think this on the side will work. And we're going to pretend like this is all finished. And you decide, do you want your snowman to be straight up? Mine, I kind of put at an angle. I don't know if
dancing.
Dancing, okay.
Dancing snowman.
So, those would go together. And then here is the scarf, and it's in two parts. Thought that would be easier for you. So there's the two parts. And then here's the hat, and it can be this way, or this way, or this way. You could have it straight on. Here's my eyes. And these are funky rock shapes. And you are welcome to change them up from what I did if you want to. And I really felt he needed a mouth. And this is kind of a little piece, but. And then here's some sticks. I didn't do them real long. Here's another stick, but this one ends up going under the. And a carrot for his nose, so his mouth will have to come down a little bit. And there's the carrot for his nose. And what you're going to want to do, you can see that this fabric I cut is longer than this one. So I had a little wiggle room here on how big I wanted to make this. So I will, trim the bottom off here probably. And then I like at least an inch up here for finishing, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I want at least an inch. So when you're deciding how big you want it, fold it under an inch or so and say, is that where I want it? Or should I have him down a little bit? Probably I would pull it down a little bit. So once I would fuse the two body pieces and iron them. Then I would add these one at a time, because you don't want to get anything mixed up or do it wrong. And, you know, look at the picture because you'll have a photograph of this so that you know how to do the carrot or the mouth, or you can certainly change it up and personalize it any way you like. So the last step, what I did with mine was I have some very thin batting that I put between the snowman and the back. And so then I have stitched the two sides and the bottom and left the top open. Then I went to the iron and pressed under the edge 1 inch on the lining and on the front.
Turn it right side out.
Oh, yeah, you can do that before you turn it right side out, or you can turn it right side out. Now, when you're getting ready to turn it right side out, don't forget to trim off the corners because you've got that layer of batting. And you will still get kind of a rounded edge because there's batting in there. And then I press this really good. And at that point, I used a machine buttonhole stitch or blanket stitch. It's called, depends on the brand of your machine, whether it's called buttonhole or blanket stitch. But it's a straight stitch that then jumps in, straight jumps in. And so you get this kind of finish. And it really needed that. At first I thought, no, I'll just leave it the way it is, but I like it much better. And you can see on the back, you know, what it looked like. And what I do is pull the top thread to the back when I have to move around and tie a knot, and I leave just those little edges because that way my threads all go to the back. And then what I did, you know, this is the time of year where people are trimming their trees and things. And I happened to have Val trimmed trees at her house this summer, and I brought a bunch of sticks to my house. So I went and found this stick, and it's kind of a crooked stick. So I didn't place if you want to use a stick, I didn't place these tabs till I actually had the stick, because one side is up a little over the other side. So
we hold it up.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't go up as tall as this one. And then I'll put a little nail in the wall and it'll just rest on that nail right there. And what I've done, we'll look at it this way because it'll be easier for Val. I just folded it in half and I top stitched it real close to the fold. So now I'm going to go back in and hand stitch this shut. I mean, you could top stitch it from the other side if you want to, but or you could even take and do this decorative stitch all across the top or something. But this seemed to work really well for me. Now, let's say you don't want to bother finding a stick or something. Then you could use a dowel, and then you would leave these the same height when you use the dowel. Or you could say, I don't want any hanging device. I just want it plain. And you could put a little sleeve on the back of this. So hopefully you will enjoy making your snowman. I certainly enjoyed this one. And it's going to hang in my house for the holidays.